But let's go into the thing that's going to piss people off even more, Z. We're going to throw in a clip from Russo jumping on with Joe and I last week's episode of Fellowship of the Rink, where he seems convinced that one of the veteran players will be re-signed, not resigned, re-signed. It's not going to play well. Fans are going to be upset. Please let us know in the chat how you feel about this. Oh my goodness. The one thing that everyone grabbed onto from the player availability was Gustav Nyquist saying he'd love to come back. Is there any shot that that happens?
I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, I know Garen was asked if they're interested in any UFAs coming back, and he said, I think something, I think so, or probably, or like, you probably didn't want to say no right away, without going into it or seeing, like, there's guys like, Johansson, we don't know what is going to happen with him. John Merrill's there. I doubt they'll probably sign him. So, yeah, I don't think. Yeah,
to me, when he said that, didn't he actually identify, like, there's one? Didn't he say that, or am I making that up?
I think he might have said there's one, or there's possibly one.
Like,
but
to me, that would have to be Johansson. That would be the only one that would make any sense whatsoever, just because he's handy up and down the lineup. He had a pretty decent year. He was good down the stretch. And he's the type of guy that, there's a lot of scuttlebutt out there. We didn't get to talk to him before he took off for the World Championship, but there is a lot of scuttlebutt out there that he has decided that he either wants to play here or return and play for Farstad. So, which is his hometown, not home. It's where he lives now. He's not from Karlstad, but that's his team. So that's the big kind of rumor there. And I'm sure a lot of that actually will come out with the World Championship being in Sweden. I'm sure that he'll be quoted here at some point in the next couple of weeks and what his intentions are. Maybe the Wild have interest in bringing him back. As long as it's in a, hopefully they're not just feeling the need to just constantly keep them on the top six again. But I don't think Gus is coming back.
If they bring Marcus Johansson back after another contract year pop, I think that might be what ends Minnesota Wild Twitter.
There is a sick part of me
that wants it.
Yes. Especially if it's the BG special, baby.
4x4 NMC,
baby. It's literally, that
he's not getting 4 years though at this point. No. 4x2 NMC. Dude, we have to make a shirt that literally just says 4x4 NMC.
Yeah,
that's it.
There is a small part just because of it.
Hey, comment in the chat if you would buy a 4x4 NMC hat. Let us know.
So let's say, the one scenario where this would happen, where I wouldn't be like, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" would be if, let's say, whatever moves happen and they just can't get the UFAs or whoever they're targeting. If they just can't make that happen, if they go for big money elsewhere, if you want to, at that point, if Johansson's like either Minnesota or I'm going back to Sweden, and he ends up with another like 1x2 million, then I'm like, I can stomach it, but wow, did you misplay that? Like,
okay, but here's the counter, which I know isn't lost on you, but I have to throw it out there for those listeners. He's going to be played where a prospect should be played. There is no chance that he's played on the fourth line. Even third line is a stretch. Do you want to bring him back regardless of the cost if that means that Ogren isn't getting into the lineup? Maybe it nudges Height out if Height's right on the edge. Like, do you want him back, period, with where this team is at in their trajectory?
No, obviously, like, they have to we went from, like, pre/first year of Bill Guerin, not even, like, pre-Bill Guerin, pre-Judd bracket, where it was, like, either all of our young players are going to get a shot right away before they're ready, or we don't have any, like, legit prospects, or we give up on them. It was always like, it was never, whenever they were fully in the NHL, there were like 2 or 3 where it was like, yeah, they're probably ready to play. Or again, they were like, nah, never. Like, we're just gonna give up immediately. They have to let these kids into the lineup. They have to play at some point. Otherwise, why did you even bother getting better at drafting? Like, I mean,
is that what breaks Judd? Does Judd finally be like, "Fuck you, Billy, I'm out"? I'm gonna go somewhere where I can pray.
Let's say they move out Rossi to get the space. They don't get Nelson. They don't get Bassett. They don't get any of those top UFAs. They're like, all right, Pew Suter 5x5. Like, fuck. God, not again. We're doing it again. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, they obviously should not do it. He is the one where I think, again, like, let's say they drastically misplay their plans for like free agency, the draft, whatever. And they're like Johansson again, down the stretch, he was really good. Played well, played decently well in the playoffs.
We knew
so like you can stomach it, but it's like, bro, what were we doing this whole time then? Like, you know, like
you have to put him on a 1-year deal then, because every year then is a contract year.
Yeah, there you go. In perpetuity.
If you continually do 1-year deals and he's always in a contract year, I'm not happy, but I can be talked into it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I had a feeling that was going to be his answer when you asked him that question. I was like, I already know where this one's going. And I was like, our comments are going to be very funny. And it will break Wild Twitter officially. So again, there's a sick part of me that's like, maybe. But to me, that would mean that they really.
Robinson's back. Here it is. BG keeps Merrill to let Zeev develop 2 years with McLean in that D mecca.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fucking Jesus Christ.
It wishes that BG would have grabbed Marchand. What would you do if Brad Marchand signed in Minnesota as a free agent?
Party.
Be pretty fun.
Yep.
See, but that's different. He brings something different that warrants pushing someone out of the lineup. It's different.
I am curious to see, like, I mean, obviously we say this every year, but like it does feel like they, in order to get ice time for these kids, like there are several pieces that need to be moved. And they're also talking about like, hey, we're going to probably need, just for insurance, to get another goalie too. Cause we don't with how up and down the Wallstedt year was in terms of injuries, like how fucked his roadmap was from the beginning of it. Like, obviously they're not wanting to like put all of their eggs in the basket of like, I think I mean, at this point they're comfortable with Gustafsson as a number one. You're going to be worried just given how the last year went with Wallstedt, like having that guy play 25 games, 30 games, like you can't be super confident. So like they're going to probably have to go out and like look for a third goalie just as insurance.
Well, you got to also look at the sample size of
but you're also paying him 2.1 next year.
Like you don't want Gustafsson playing too many games.
Right.
But yes.
But you gave up everything you gave up for Yersak. You need to have Booyah in the lineup every night. Plus, you look at the forwards. Yurov's coming over. We'll see what happens. Ogren should be in that lineup. Like, there are several pieces that need to be moved.
Ace here. Who's more likely to be traded, Spurgeon or Brodin?
Wow. I feel like we've heard more about Spurgeon.
But that's because people want to bash on him because he's young or like small, or because like, oh, someone else should be the captain, right? The reason I ask about both is because I feel like Brodin is going to get more of a return.
Who's been lighting it up at the Worlds, by the way? He's just scoring goals. He's
like, you could actually get a solid return. Like, imagine trading Brodin and Rossi somewhere. Now we're talking. Now we might cook. Hey, Stevie, why? Brodin is Swedish. Let's talk.
It's true.
But like, It's just interesting because everyone like brings up like, oh yeah, and Brodeen or Spurgeon could potentially be traded. It's like, well, who would make more sense? Because I don't see a world where they trade both. Like you need one of them to kind of be there as the veteran presence, usher the kids in, and just be like a stabilizing force. Brodeen, I think at this point is clearly the better player, but that also means that he returns more. And like, I'm not off Spurgeon. Like Spurgeon can play as long as he can stay healthy. I don't know. It's an interesting question. That's why I bring it up. I don't have the answer.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Good question for Ace.
Well done, Ace. But so, well, here's the thing. Britt James, a couple of comments ago was, so this is what's actually interesting, where it's like, Britt James says, I honestly think the team is good the way it is. Just polish what you got. Hines' first full season to bring wild top team in league plus best road team in league when the injury bug hit. Thing is, like,
garbage home team.
The thing is, like, it is true. Like before the injuries happened, which I mean, I think at this point we do have to pencil in that half the roster is going to be out for at least like 20 games, fucking every season. But I mean, like we talked about it too, like just this playoff series against Vegas, at no point did you feel like they got drastically outplayed in any of these games. To be honest with you, it is more so just like, hey, you got a bunch of young players who are appearing to be ready to take that next step in the NHL. So that's when that like moving those pieces to get those guys in the lineup, it does become like critical to like nail that. Where it's like, we need to have them in the right spot. We can't let them go just like bake in Iowa forever. And a couple of them are going to be upgrades over probably upgrades what you have, but you can't say that for sure because we haven't seen more than like 10, 15 games of any of them really. So that's where it becomes interesting too, where it's like, we want them to play the kids at the same time. Can like 5 of them come in right away next year? And you're just like, yeah, they're going to beat your 82 games. I don't know. So that's where that question, they're in a really weird spot where it's like, hey, we're out of those major buyout years. At the same time, a lot of that money's spent. And like, do you really want to overhaul half the roster when, like, again, when they were healthy, they were cooking. They looked really good in the fucking playoffs. How much tinkering do you really want to do? I mean, tinkering is not even the right word. Like it's literally like an overhaul, because like the prospects that you want to be in the lineup next year, they're going to be playing big roles.
Yeah,
like specifically like special teams, dude. Booyum on that power play. Like he needs to come in and like give him the reins. Like let him grow into that role and drastically improve this power play. He's gonna. It's the first like month or two is gonna like he's gonna be adjusting still. Obviously, he's going from college hockey to NHL.
Just having an off season with the team is gonna fucking help.
Right.
But yeah, fair. Well, so talk real quick, because I'm gonna go piss real quick because I'm about to pee my pants. But on the Booyum topic, like Minnesota Wild players at World Championships, talk about what you've seen from both Booyum and Spacek. And I think an important question is, can the two play together on a pairing? Or do you like, who do you see as the ideal pairing mates for both Booyum and Spacek if both of them are in that group of 6 next year?
Jiricek.
Oh, that's shit. He said Spacek. You're right. Jiricek's hurt. Booyum and Spacek for World Championships. Booyum and Jiricek for next year, how they fit. I'm an idiot. Proceed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Booyum's had a pretty limited role so far at the Worlds from the games that I've seen. I think he played like maybe 10 minutes today. I think the U.S. lost like 3-0 in Switzerland or whatever. And Spacek's just like, he was pretty good in Iowa this season. And then at the Worlds, like he always like elevates his play when he's playing with Czechia. Really interesting player. I mean, again, he's like 6 foot, 6'1", just under 200 pounds. He's got a really good shot. He got 1 assist in 3 games of the Worlds this year, put up 31 points this year in Iowa. Intriguing player still. Like for me, for him to be an impact NHL guy, you really have to have him with the right partner. So I don't know. I don't think he's gonna be a full-time NHL player next year. I don't think he should be. Like I still have Juracek ahead of him, despite the injury. Especially when you consider how much you gave up. Like you drafted Spacek as an overager. You gave up 4 picks in a prospect for Juracek. And like realistically, again, like the way that he plays, his ability from the back end, that's another guy that can play on your power play. Like with Buyum and Juracek, those are 2 guys that you can rely on offense from the back end. Spacek, again, that's what I was just saying. Hoppy was like, Spacek had a pretty good year in Iowa like as good of a year as you can have in Iowa as a defenseman. I mean, like 30 points in 70 games. But yeah, for me, like I still have Juracek ahead of him in the pecking order. Like before he got sent back down and before he got hurt, what did he play? How many games did Juracek play? Because he was also inserted into this lineup when half of the fucking roster was injured. And he was going up against like Colorado, Winnipeg. Like it was like every game that I think he played Dallas too. And he looked really good. He was getting better each and every game, despite like the roster being completely depleted. Yeah, 6 games. And like, I feel like he was noticeable as time went on. And I mean, like, I think by that 5th or 6th game, they had him out there for like 18, 19, 20 minutes. So for me, I still think Juracek's just like, he's got the pedigree. There's a reason he was a top 5 pick. And again, considering how much you gave up for him, I still have him ahead of Spacek, like pretty consistently, like pretty like noticeably as far as like the pecking order goes. I mean, you're always going to be worried about throwing, whether it's Spacek, whether it's Juracek and Buyum together, you're always going to be worried about having like those 2 on the ice together. That being said, you're obviously leveraging like matchups and everything. But I mean, yeah, your Spacek, pretty good year in Iowa, all things considered. You gave up a ton for Juracek, so again, you're gonna really want him to be in the lineup day one next season. I think everyone knows that Williams should be at least. So you're gonna be worried about playing them on the same pair. You're gonna be worried about matchups. That's within your control, though. So I mean, like, will they play every single game? Who knows? Like they still have Bogosian here another year too, so that's another guy that's like taking up a spot. I don't know, but like and as I was saying before, like right as you jumped off, like Williams play a pretty limited role with Team USA so far at the Worlds, like so it is what it is. But
can you see like who do they need to play with? I don't know if you answered that portion when I was gone, but like if Buyum and Juracek are both in the group of 6, who do they need to play with to be effective?
So I think actually a way to answer that question too is like, I mean, I think at this point we can put Brock Faber with anybody, to be honest with you.
Agreed.
Like I feel pretty comfortable that he's like your out and out like best overall defenseman anyways.
I'd rather put him with Juracek.
2 righties.
Never mind.
But that frees up more options where it's like you don't need, like for me, we've always said like Middleton, he looks so different playing with someone like Jared Spurgeon versus any of the other defensemen they've had. So the fact that you can like move, I think again, I actually realistically like would love to see like a Brodin and Juracek. Again, like
so you want Juracek's
pretty close to just looking like an NHL defenseman already. Again, like as we were saying, those 6 games, like he looked really good and he fit in. So I'm actually not overly concerned about who he plays with. So at that point, do you like throw out Buyum with Spurgeon? I don't know. Like,
well, no, at that point you got to put him with Faber because you need Spurgeon with Middleton, like we've seen. Like Middleton with Faber, like there were good times, but there was also not great times for Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun vibes line, especially with like Middleton, you know, famously referring to Faber as a milk bag.
So funny.
I love that.